Meghan Markle isn't having a good week. If you happen to glance into her world in Montecito right now, you'd probably catch her pacing anxiously, phone in one hand, a legal pad in the other, trying to understand how everything has turned upside down so quickly. The royal website, the cold and calculated digital roster of who's in and who's out of the monarchy's circle, just landed what might be one of the sharpest blows yet. Princess Lilibet has vanished, not from the line of succession. She's technically still there, but her personal profile is gone. Erased, scrubbed clean like she never existed, and Meghan, she's reportedly livid. Let's not pretend this is the first time Buckingham Palace has pulled a stunt like this. The games between the Sussexes and the firm are nothing new. Their profiles have previously been removed from the homepage without explanation, only to reappear moments later, like a digital glitch. But this time, something feels different. Lilibet's page hasn't just been hidden. It seems deliberately deleted, and Meghan thinks she knows why. She believes it all traces back to Lilibet's birth certificate. You might remember that awkward dancing video Meghan posted during her pregnancy, a clip many viewers found strange not because of the dance, but because the baby bump appeared oddly artificial, too springy, too perfect. Combine that with the startling detail that the birth certificate listed a Colorado area code rather than one from California, and suddenly this isn't tabloid gossip, it's a ticking time bomb. According to insiders, Meghan feels personally targeted. Her inner circle claims the palace is acting out of spite, but others whisper something far more serious, that the palace wants verification, proper documents, real proof, birth records, hospital names, attending physicians, something official. As expected, the palace remains silent. That's their signature move: deny nothing, admit even less. But behind the curtain, the pressure is building, possibly from Prince William himself. He has more at stake than most. This isn't just about his brother anymore. It's about preserving the sanctity of the royal bloodline, ensuring that the line of succession remains untarnished. And if there are any doubts about legitimacy, real doubts, it could bring the whole house of cards crashing down. And Meghan, she's not backing off. Word is she's gearing up for legal action. What she's arguing is that the palace had no right to remove her daughter's profile, calling it a calculated attempt to embarrass and diminish her family's standing. But there's a cold truth Meghan may be missing. Royal titles aren't like Instagram bios. They're not self-written, they're granted and can be revoked at the monarch's discretion. King Charles could wake up tomorrow and decree that Harry is no longer a duke, no longer His Royal Highness, just plain Henry Windsor. The root of all this drama appears to circle back to one central issue: the circumstances of Lilibet and Archie's births. Meghan hasn't shared the names of any doctors involved. No hospitals have been confirmed. No photographs from the hospital steps. No easel with gold, embossed announcements. Nothing that reflects the strict royal tradition. Just a cloud of ambiguity, and the silence. It's making things worse. People are beginning to ask hard questions. Why hasn't Meghan cleared the air? Why not simply release the certificates and doctor names if everything is legitimate? Why allow rumors to take control of the story? When Archie was born, the palace broke tradition. No formal photos, no announcement outside the hospital. Instead, we got a blurry image from a hallway and vague commentary. With Lilibet, it's even murkier. No listed doctors, no hospital, just a glossy press release. Theories are now gaining traction that Meghan may not have given birth at all. Some even allege surrogacy. Claims fueled by rumors that she might have undergone a hysterectomy during her previous marriage. Again, surrogacy itself isn't scandalous, but in the royal realm, it's not about morality. It's about protocol. The lineage must be documented, confirmed, transparent. A surrogate born child might complicate everything, especially if the public was led to believe otherwise. Meghan's refusal to disclose details, combined with PR moves that seem designed to distract, has only deepened suspicion. There's a growing sentiment that this isn't just a privacy issue anymore, it's a matter of legitimacy. Tradition, trust, and as far as the palace is concerned, silence isn't a sufficient answer. Meanwhile, Harry's silence is growing more concerning. He hasn't publicly defended Meghan or clarified the situation. Some suggest he's simply exhausted, others fear he's distancing himself from something he no longer fully believes, because if it's ever confirmed that both children were born via surrogate and the Sussexes deliberately withheld that fact, the implications could be catastrophic. Even the royal website, often overlooked, carries immense symbolic weight. Inclusion on that list means your place in the royal order is undisputed, but Lilibet being erased from that site while remaining in the line of succession. That's a message, a digital shot across the bow, a warning to provide the truth or be quietly removed altogether, and Meghan, she's doubling down. Behind Montecito's guarded gates, she's reportedly huddled with her legal team, her PR experts, and a shrinking group of loyal media allies. She believes this is a deliberate campaign to discredit her, a personal attack meant to destabilize and demoralize. She's not entirely wrong. In the royal family, symbolism is everything. Profiles, placements, and appearances all mean more than they seem. Meghan wanted to reinvent what it meant to be royal, mixing Hollywood charm with regal titles. But now, with her carefully crafted image fraying at the edges, she's left trying to hold together a story that's missing too many pages. People no longer want fairy tales, they want facts, they want records, they want answers. Royal births are supposed to follow a familiar script: official photos, named hospitals, doctor credentials, and proud announcements. Archie and Lilibet's arrivals lacked all of that, and now the erasure of Lilibet's digital presence from the royal website only amplifies the suspicion. There are also uncomfortable whispers about Meghan's background. Not because of who she is, but because of what's been hidden. Reports of murky family ties, unverified relatives, and missing details in genealogical records have all added to the public's unease. Again, not new, but now impossible to ignore. Charles remains mostly silent, watching, but William is done waiting. According to sources, he's lost patience. Not just with Meghan, but with the endless drama. He knows the monarchy's current fragility. He understands that one more scandal could undermine everything, so the pressure is on. If Meghan or Harry wants to preserve any remaining goodwill, curated interviews and choreographed appearances won't be enough. They'll need to bring receipts, real documentation, hard evidence, not just soft focus photographs and polished media spins. And as long as that proof remains unseen, people will continue to assume the worst. They'll believe that Lilibet's erasure from the royal site wasn't an accident. It was intentional, a signal that unless concrete documentation is presented, she may not be acknowledged as a royal at all. And Harry, his silence is beginning to speak louder than any statement ever could. Once claiming he stepped back from royal life for peace and privacy, he now appears to be quietly retreating from a story he can no longer control. If he truly wanted to end the speculation, one simple gesture could do it. One signed form, one hospital record, one verified doctor's name. But so far, nothing, and the palace, it will wait, cold, firm, unmoving. Because in the end, royal status isn't claimed through social media or public sympathy. It's earned with tradition, confirmed with truth, proven with documentation. What makes this entire saga even more unsettling is the eerie silence that follows every new development. It's not just the silence of Harry or the firm no comment from the palace. It's the quiet unraveling of a public narrative that once seemed bulletproof. Meghan and Harry had built a powerful story crafted for global consumption, the underdog royal couple cast out for being too modern, too outspoken, too independent. They became icons for challenging the system. But now, with the disappearance of Lilibet's profile and mounting questions about their children's birth details, the foundation of that story is starting to show cracks. What's ironic is how much of this could have been avoided. Transparency in the royal family isn't about satisfying tabloid curiosity. It's about upholding the lineage. Every royal child born in modern history has followed the same procedure: hospital, records, photo op, doctors' names. It's not tradition for tradition's sake. It's a process rooted in constitutional necessity. The monarchy exists within a system that demands certainty, and in that system, rumor is more dangerous than rebellion. And this is where Meghan and Harry have miscalculated. They believed, perhaps understandably, that their celebrity could buffer them against the expectations placed upon royalty, that their popularity and media prowess could rewrite the rules. But the monarchy isn't showbiz. It doesn't bend to PR campaigns or public sentiment in the same way. If anything, it doubles down, it waits, it observes, and then it acts, without emotion and without warning. The removal of Lilibet's profile is not just an administrative update, it's a statement. It's the palace's way of signaling that inclusion is not automatic, that status, even for a child born to a prince, must be validated. It's harsh, it's cold, but it's the reality of a system that has endured for centuries by being meticulous about bloodlines, names, and documents. And yet, Meghan and Harry seem to believe they can ride out the storm through visibility. Meghan is appearing in more curated settings, at charity events, on podcast interviews, in lifestyle photo shoots. She's leaning into the image of the nurturing, misunderstood mother, the smiling, resilient woman who stands tall despite the constant criticism. But image without proof is no longer enough. Not for the public, not for the palace. Even their staunchest defenders are beginning to waver. Voices that once championed Meghan's every move are now asking uncomfortable questions. They're not abandoning her, but they're being forced to acknowledge the inconsistencies. Why haven't they released even one piece of documentation? Why avoid naming the hospital? Why maintain secrecy when openness would quiet the noise instantly? It's not just about the past, it's about the future. The royal family must protect its continuity, and right now, with doubts lingering about Archie and Lilibet's births, the legitimacy of their place in the royal lineage is at stake. Without definitive proof, those doubts will only grow, and as they grow, so does the risk, not just to Meghan and Harry's reputations, but to the very structure of the monarchy. This has placed Prince William in an impossible position. He's not just the heir, he's the guardian of the institution, and insiders suggest he's growing increasingly frustrated with the Sussexes, not out of spite, not even out of rivalry, but because their actions, or lack thereof, are creating a constitutional dilemma. A child who cannot be confirmed to be of royal blood could one day be in the line of succession. That's not just controversial, that's dangerous. For King Charles, the calculus is even more delicate. He's spent years trying to modernize the monarchy, to make it more accessible, more compassionate, but now he's faced with a choice: protect his son's family or protect the crown, and if history has shown us anything, it's that the crown always comes first. Meanwhile, behind the walls of Montecito, Meghan and Harry are living in a pressure cooker. Every move is scrutinized, every absence noted, every rumor amplified. Meghan is reportedly working around the clock with her legal team, trying to determine whether she can force the palace to reinstate her daughter's profile. But there's little precedent for that. Titles and inclusion on the royal website are not entitlements. They're granted by the monarch and can be revoked without explanation. The legal route may buy time, but it won't buy legitimacy. Only the truth can do that, and right now, the absence of truth is louder than any headline. There's also the question of Harry's role in all this. For a man who once pledged to protect his wife at all costs, his silence has become deafening. Some believe he's being strategic, keeping quiet to avoid fanning the flames. Others suspect something deeper, that Harry is beginning to realize the story he's been telling may not be sustainable, that his loyalty to Meghan might come at the cost of everything else, his relationship with his family, his standing in Britain, and possibly his children's royal future. The palace, on the other hand, is moving with icy precision. By quietly removing Lilibet's profile, they've drawn a line. They haven't revoked her place in the line of succession yet, but they've made it clear inclusion is conditional. And until documentation is provided, that condition won't be met. This creates a chilling possibility that unless Meghan and Harry release those records, their children could be unofficially erased from royal recognition. Still family, yes, but not acknowledged, not celebrated, not embraced, and for Meghan, who has built so much of her identity around royal status that could be the ultimate humiliation, the longer they wait, the more damaging it becomes. Speculation breeds conspiracy, and conspiracy breeds distrust. Already, social media is flooded with theories, some wild, others alarmingly well researched. Videos breaking down the inconsistencies in Meghan's pregnancies. Threads analyzing body language, posts comparing timelines and addresses. This isn't just gossip, it's a digital investigation, and Meghan's refusal to engage with it directly only fuels the fire. Her defenders say she doesn't owe anyone an explanation, that her privacy should be respected. But when you're part of an institution that governs by tradition and transparency, you don't get to opt out of the rules. Privacy isn't a shield against legitimacy. All of this raises the uncomfortable question: what happens if the truth doesn't align with the narrative? What if it is confirmed that surrogacy was involved and that the royal family was never informed, or worse, misled? The fallout could be constitutional. Parliamentary debate, legal reviews, public outcry. The monarchy is fragile enough in the post-Elizabeth era. A scandal of this magnitude could shatter public trust entirely. And perhaps Meghan and Harry are banking on that fragility, that the palace will blink first, that they'll quietly restore Lilibet's profile to avoid further controversy. But if that's the plan, it's a risky one. Because Buckingham Palace doesn't bluff, and if they've made the decision to stand firm, it means they believe they have the upper hand. This leaves Meghan in a lonely position. She's spent years trying to reshape the narrative of who she is, of what she represents. And for a while, it worked. The Oprah interview, the Netflix deal, the Archetypes podcast. She became a symbol of resilience, of modern womanhood. But symbols require belief, and when belief is shaken, the symbol collapses. The press, once largely sympathetic, is turning. Stories are becoming sharper, questions more pointed. Even Hollywood insiders, once her biggest allies, are beginning to distance themselves. Because in an industry built on image, association matters. And right now, Meghan's image is clouded by too many questions. Even Harry, the once rebellious prince, seems adrift. He appears less frequently, speaks even less, and when he does, it's often in carefully controlled settings. He's become a ghost in a narrative that once revolved around him. Whether that's by design or discomfort, we don't know, but it's clear something has shifted. At the center of it all are two children. Innocent, unaware, caught between a family that runs on tradition and parents who have chosen to defy it. Their place in history is uncertain. Their titles, their recognition, their future, all hinging on documents no one has seen. It didn't have to be this way. Meghan and Harry had the opportunity to forge a new path within the royal framework, to modernize it from within, but instead, they tried to rewrite the rules entirely. And now the rules are pushing back. The final chapter hasn't been written yet, but every day that passes without transparency brings us closer to an irreversible conclusion. The palace won't make another move until Meghan and Harry do. But their patience is not infinite, because in the royal world, silence is not protection. It's provocation, and in the end, royalty isn't about popularity. It's about protocol. It's not about how loud your supporters are. It's about whether you meet the requirements, documentation, tradition, bloodline. No one, not even a duchess, gets to skip the fine print.